Hi, Avish. Um, very good evening, everyone. We'll start our session today. Ayush, you can take over.
Okay, so I would like everybody to I would like everybody to so hope everybody's elastic ELK stack is working. Govind, can you please share your screen? Govind, can you please share your screen? Okay, so now I have created a static page, a static website for this session, for this class. So I put in the chat a link and I would want everybody to open that link in their browsers. Is everybody able to open this link that I put in the Google? Please share your screen again. Okay, so let me just create a quick poll. Please do not reply in the chat. I'm creating a poll. Anybody whose elastic stack is not working, can you please, if somebody's, if everybody's, if anybody's elastic search is not working, please comment in the chat. Only those whose stack is not working, please mention in the chat. Not those whose stack is working. I don't want to hear from them in the chat. I just want to hear from the folks who do not have elastic stack working. Okay. So now, again, now, is there anyone else who was not able to open the link provided in the chat? This link. So Sanjay sees Elastic Stack is not working. Please connect with Govind after the class. He can help you to fix any issues with your Elastic Stack. And anybody who is not able to open the link that is provided in the chat. Okay. Govind, can you please give the access? I want to take control. Okay. So previously we had started the stack, and now today what we are going to do is so the first phase the of this course, we will learn how to identify uh, client side threats or client side security issues, identifies exploitation of client side security issues with elk stack, with log analysis. So when we have two websites. One is our website that is hosted locally. One is the website that is hosted locally, which is this website, this web page, and then we have a, a globally hosted web application. Now, we are only able to get logs from our locally hosted web applications. We are not able to get logs. We are not getting logs from this foreign hosted website, right? And so right now, uh, we will consider this website as the attacker website, or the website that is controlled by the attackers. So now in cybersecurity, there is a concept of that there are two there's a concept of adversary. So the victim, as the name implies, is the uh, victim of the cyber attack, and the attacker is the attack. This is the entity who is attacking the who is going to attack the who is attacking the victim. Any doubts in this? Okay. So now, if you do not have doubts in this, so now
Speed, so please repeat. I joined the late.
okay, let's wait for the lady. Okay, so now let's begin. So as I was mentioning, we have a couple of new terminologies today that we are going to explore. The first terminology is as a recap. Let's have a recap. In the last session, the terminology that we focused on was a static application and a dynamic web application. And we concluded that dynamic web applications consume more resources because uh, they have to basically execute. There is a program that needs to execute for it to give an output. Whereas and hence it consumes more CPU and more memory, hence consuming more resources, more electricity, and than the as compared to the static web applications. That was the terminology that we explored yesterday, as well as we also found out that uh, we also found out uh, that the cloud service providers, just based on your CPU utilization, can have a fair bit of understanding of your uh, of the web applications that are running on your VMs in the cloud, whether they are static and dynamic, uh, and amount of resources that are being consumed. So it is possible for them to bill you in a certain way. So what are static web applications good for? Static web applications are good for CDNs. CDN stands for Content Delivery Network. Now, Content Delivery Network is a, a web application that just delivers static content. So what is a static content? Whatever you see on a web page, images, HTML, any client-side code, any icons, any font, everything is static content, and that's how now. So let's take an example of uh, let's try to build a content delivery network on our local web server. The local web server being XAMPP. So all I need to do is take an image of the internet, like uh, daisy flower, right? It's an image, all right? I'll pick one. This one looks good. I'll right click on it. Now, to save it. Where do I save it? Let's save it on the desktop. The type. Okay, WebP is good. Or say let's use another common uh, image type. Let's pick another which has an extension of JPEG. There's not nothing particular about JPEG, but it's just that it's it is more supported by a lot of browsers. So JFIF is a JPEG image. Now let's save it on our desktop. Let's give it a friendly name. Right. So here we can see this is the image that we had downloaded of the internet. So in order to use our web server as a CDN, all we need to do is just copy the static content. Go to our XAMPP, go to our document root and paste it here. Right? As it is in our document root, all we need to do is go to our web server. After our document root, just type in the name and here we should see the image being rendered. Now, in this context, so whenever this URL is hit, the content is being delivered. Right now, in order to embed this image into our static web application, let's work with our static web application first. Right, we are going to use an image tag. So right now the language that we are using is HTML, plain simple HTML. First. Right, we just save it. We go back to our we'll go back to our web page and hit refresh. And now we are able to view the image as part of our web page. If anybody has doubts,
So what is local host?
can you please repeat?
Sir, what is local host?
Okay, so previously, where at what address were you able to at what address were okay, so which address were you able to access your static application previously? Was it 127.0.0.1? If you are speaking, you are on mute. So you can either use localhost or you can use 127.0.0.1. Both of them are loopback addresses, and both of them are the addresses for your local web server. Any doubts in this? Right. So now, so far so good. So Bharat, I think Bharat has a question. What is the question, Bharat?
That's how the 127 that 0.0.1 number has given.
Your voice is echoing, Bharat. I cannot hear your question. Can you please type your question? Please type your question. Okay. Till Bharat Bharat types his question. Let's continue. Now, we are able to embed this. Now, this is our, so what happens? Right now, we have used an image of the internet, but any resource. So Bharat's question is, how did we get the address of 127.0.0.1? So this, Bharat, is a loopback address. So well, in programming languages like Java, you have this pointer, right? There is something called as a this pointer that references the instance that you're working in, right? That is used to reference the instance of the object that the program is executing in, right? So similarly, 127.0.0.1 is kind of a self-referencing address over the internet where each device, so what do I mean by each device? Your phones, your laptops, your smartwatches, everything, even IoT, can reference itself or a program running on itself with this address. So that's the definition for 127.0.0.1. So conventionally it is there. And it is with every operating system, every famous operating system. If and it is part of the IPv4 standard itself. So that's the simplest answer I can provide for that. Great. So now again, I would like everybody not to interrupt without permission. Raise your hands if you have any questions. I don't want to break my flow, but please cooperate. Don't interrupt. Raise your hands if you have a question. I will take it up once my statement is completed or something what I want to say is completed. Let's all be cordial. Okay. Now, the point that I wanted to emphasize is that right now, what this image of a daisy, we have taken it off of the internet, right? But it is something. Now, this is not just an image, right? It's not something. It was not it is an image that some photographer might have taken, right? And they would have sold it to an firm or to an organization for XYZ dollars, and hence it is an entity that is being that has some monetary value, right? So let's suppose, so that's the reason organizations cannot use any content off of the internet, because there are copyright laws. Any website cannot use any other's content. So let's suppose there was an image that on our CDN that we wanted to that we wanted our customers to view, right? But no, then there is this uh, attacker website. They do not have any investments, and all they need to do is they know that, hey, this image, now we can access this image by just right clicking on it and clicking on the option open image in a new tab. All that, all it's that what we need to do, and we'll get a link to that. Okay, let's rewrite the link to our right now the convention that we are using. Either we are using 127.0.0.1 so that it is compatible with our examples. Let's just right now we have reloaded the page. Now let's suppose we click again on the same icon, open image in a new tab. So this time we can see oh, the page is probably cached, but in any case, it is still we can still access it. We can still overwrite it with 127.0. Right. Now this is a path. This is the URL to the content on our web server. So right now the attacker observes, hey, I can right away see the client side just by clicking on view page source icon, right? That's all it needs to do. And here is the code. So all that the attacker needs to do is just copy this code, and now if we observe the attacker's website, there's just simple hello world, nothing more than that, right? Now all that the attacker needs to do is just copy this code and paste it into its own. There's nothing stopping the attacker from copying the code, right? So I will just change the code on my website on my end. right? Let's refresh the. I've committed the new code. Let's just give it a couple of seconds for it to refresh on the server side. On the attacker controlled website. Okay, so now we can see the code is reflecting on the attacker controlled website. Let's reload the attacker controlled website. Now, the attacker controlled website is also able to load our content, right? But right now, if you try to reload that, if you would try to reload that, then in that case, you won't be able to load the image of the daisy, because the image of the daisy is on uh is on the browser, or is on the server of Google. So this right now we are in the machine of Mr. Govind, and we are referencing it from this local server. So the attacker controlled website has assumed that its page, whenever will be loaded, will be able to cross reference, or it will be able to it will be the page wherever it will be loaded will be able to access the CDN of the victim's web server. Now, it wouldn't. So let's suppose if you have followed all the steps till now in your own machines. So whatever image you might have saved with the name of daisy.jfif in your document root would have been rendering over here. It won't be the same daisy. It won't be the same image of daisy, but it would be something what you might have chosen. Any doubts still here? Is everybody able to follow? If you have any questions, only folks who have questions, please raise your hand. Now, remember, guys, we do not have control, or we do not have logs from the attacker controlled website. We only have logs from our website, right? We don't have access of the logs on the attacker's website. So let's first try to understand how we will detect. Okay, how we will detect that something like this is happening. Now, we never consented, we never gave permission for the attacker to use our content. use content from our server, right? Because this content or this image is being hosted on our machine. It is using 1 MB, 1.2 MB of disk from Govind's server. It is the attacker is not storing this image, right? Attacker would not have purchased rights to this image, right? And they wouldn't have been paying for the storage. They won't have been paying for the uh, copyright of the image, as well as uh, the 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 processing that is required to push the image. It's all at the expense of Govind's server. So is everybody able to understand the modus of the attacker? The attacker is using the resources of Govind server without Govind's consent. So now how will Govind under, uh, understand or find out if such kind of a thing is happening? We only want to detect at the moment. We don't want to respond. We don't want to fix it. We just want to understand how, like, how can we detect this sort of an attack? All the attacker had to do was just copy the HTML. Okay, there is a suggestion from now again Gautam. Gautam suggests doing traffic monitoring. Again, traffic monitoring. You will be only be able to monitor the traffic of your own, what is in your control, right? Over the internet, let's suppose if this web page is being hosted now, let's suppose this uh, server was on the internet and Govind was running out and operating this web server. And now this is an attacker controlled web server. Now you are the consumer, right? So when you are loading this web page, the resource is being fetched from Govind's server. So Govind is happily paying for uh, his uh, his hosting, right? He's happily paying for his hosting, right? So for Govind, the the input would only be coming from the the hits will only be coming from hit from a general user. There is, I mean, the attacker is not uh, definitely. I mean, traffic monitoring is so when you say traffic monitoring, uh, you you how do you monitor the traffic? It's a question for you. How do you monitor the traffic? And please unmute yourself and elaborate. Gautam, am I audible? If you're speaking, you are on mute. Probably you would like to unmute yourself and elaborate what what you meant by traffic monitoring. Okay. Sure. So let's let's first understand what okay. So again, when we want to when we try to monitor traffic from like the IP related traffic, right? So what happens is like so remember, you want to analyze, you always have limited disk. In the last session we had discussed that if we start logging everything, we will eventually run out of space, right? So now if Govind decides that whatever traffic is going out of his server, the IP related traffic, if every IP packet is going to log. So now let's right now as we speak, there are a lot of communication that is happening from Govind's machine, right? So let's try to see. Uh, Govind, can you please start sharing your screen again? Now again, definitely malicious IPs. What is malicious IPs? What terms as malicious IPs? It is very casual to say any malicious any term any IP as malicious, right? Uh, we only have 40 lakh or 4 million distinct IP addresses in IPv4, and most of them gets reused, and uh, so you cannot call an IP malicious for long, right? You cannot just label, okay, this IP address is malicious for because that the ownership will change and it won't be malicious for long. So now if Govind decides to log everything, uh, then he would be running out of disk. And then again, using your second opinion of uh, restricting the malicious IP. So Govind does run into a challenge of losing business, because let's suppose Govind starts blocking malicious IP addresses, right? It will work for a couple of moments, but let's suppose Govind loses the track, or or if the source of information for Govind to label any IP address as malicious is for Govind to know any source of IP to be malicious is incorrect, then he will be blocking the illegitimate traffic. We need a better way to analyze and understand to block this type of an attack. Now, this is again, we are again going into blocking phase. We don't want to go into the blocking phase. We just want to detect. We just want to detect. So as of now, what do we have? We have Apache access logs at our disposal, right? As of now, we have Apache access logs at our disposal, right? As of now, whatever, and we don't, these logs are just from our own website. It is not from the attacker's website. We do not have access to attacker's website logs. We only have access to our website logs. So let's try to analyze and let's try to find out if we can find out something in the logs. Okay. Okay, so before going to like analyzing, right? What exercise we used to do previously? Previously, we used to note timestamps, right? So now, if we can hit it right now, if we are hitting it right now, we are able to log the timestamp, that is 7:48. Now, can we note the timestamp of the attacker controlled website? Is it possible to know that? So, or let's first try to understand how this attack is happening. This is an attacker controlled website. All this attacker is doing is just spreading this URL over the internet, like pasting in WhatsApp groups, creating a QR code, pasting it on railway stations. This guy is putting it in Teams chats. It is just this URL. The attacker is just copying this, like highlighting the URL, Control C, and pasting it everywhere so that people, if normal regular users, rather than hitting Govind's website, they are hitting attacker's controlled website. And they are able to see the content of Govind because the attacker controlled website has copied the reference. The attacker controlled website has not copied the content. They have just copied the reference to Govind's hosted content on its server. And hence, whenever the attacker controlled website is rendering, it is also, while rendering, it is pulling the image or the content from Govind's server and displaying it. And as this is all, as the code is referenced in HTML, it's all happening on the client side. So let's suppose right now, all of you folks might be rendering this, right? You might be able to hit refresh on your own web browsers, right? On your own web pages. But I do not get that metrics, right? Because I do not have access to that. That metrics is only with the attacker controlled website. The logs in the attacker controlled website. We do not have access to that. We only have access to. So now we know that so let's do a quick drill. Right now, let's refresh this local website. We have noted the time 7:51. Right now, let me just open Paint. Let me hide the system clock. Right now, neither me, neither you, neither Govind knows what's the time on the clock, on the system clock, right? So that's how this operation is working. We do not know at what time is the attacker controlled website clicked. But we do know that the attacker didn't copy the content. They have just copied the reference to our CDN because attacker do not want to pay for the CDN. because paying for storage on the internet is expensive, and Govind is already doing that, and that's the part of the attack that the attacker wants to do. He wants to leverage the hosting expense of Govind and render content on his own website. So he has just referenced the website. Right now, we do not know when it was, at what time was the content rendered, or what time was the refresh hit. Right now, let's try to view our logs. What are we able to find in our logs? Right? Like, let's give it an import. Let's give it an index name. Elk defense 8, 11, 54. Okay. We cannot have underscores. We cannot have capital letters. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Right. Now let's import the logs. Let's discover. Let's go to discover. Right. Interesting. Okay. So it was able to get only 8 records. That is not correct. Okay. Probably the Apache is taking a bit of time to log, but anyways, I think it has updated now. Let's copy the log again. Number of lines 9. Let's see if. So what I am looking for is the server able to give the latest logs? or is it not giving the latest logs? Oh, well, let's analyze and we'll get to know. Let's open in Discover. Now, let's see. Okay, the last time first thing we want to check is URL, right? Let's get the URL original. So now we can see that there were multiple calls that were made to daisy.jfif, right? Now, let's see what were the methods that were made. So the HTTP method that was used was get, because we are just loading it over. We are loading it in our we are able to load it with our web browsers. Now, let's take another metric, which is referrer, HTTP request.referrer. Now, this HTTP request.referrer is an indicator of which what is the URL of the web application that is loading this resource. So now the question arises, can we trust this metric? We can trust this metric for the reason being that definitely referrer or any client side header can be manipulated. But let's suppose if the attacker is distributing this URL, or let's suppose Govind is also marketing his own web application or his website, right? Like it could be like Swiggy, Zomato, or whatever. Like it could be govind.com instead of 127.0.0.1. And instead of that, so if this was 120, if this was govind.com, then we would be seeing govind.com over here, right? Because this is the address. As previously, as we were able to hit for localhost and we were able to register as a local host. Similarly, we are registering as this. Now, so now whenever the attacker is distributing their own website, that, hey, this is a website I have created, visit this. The attacker is basically broadcasting that now attacker can also not control so attacker can also not control which device is going to open its URL, right? So now let's suppose if the attacker has created a QR code of this URL and pasted it on a railway station. So now the attacker also does not know who is going to scan that QR code and open that web page, right? So attacker cannot control its other victims. Now, attacker has two victims at the moment. One is Govind and his website. And then there are other victims who think that this content is owned and created by the attacker, not Govind. So when the victim of the attacker loads this URL, they will get to see the content, and this content will be rendered from Govind's web application or web server, and that will also register the URL as a referrer, and hence Govind can find out which of the which of the web applications have referenced its content. So this is how Govind can find out if the by just monitoring the referrer header, Govind can find out is his content being misused over the internet. Now let's wait for or let's okay, so let's copy this URL and open this in an incognito window. Or it is possible. So there are something like browser caches that prevent loading of. Let's open another browser like Edge, whose cache has nothing to do with. Right, and let's try to open this in Notepad. See. Are we even logging? Hmm, interesting. Let's okay, there seems to be an update. There seems to be a lag in our logs, and that's the reason we are not able to see the. Okay, let's see. This is an error logs. It's a case, right? So let's restart the server and see if that makes any difference. It seemed to write something. Right. Okay, we are back in our attacker control website. Let's hit the refresh. The refresh. That is, this is tedious. So this is one of the ways to uh, find out. So this vulnerability. So let's talk about this vulnerability for a while till the logs refresh. And in the meanwhile, we'll just keep hitting it and hoping that it loads. So let's talk about this issue. So this issue is called as cross-origin resource sharing. Now, as the name suggests, it is an intended mechanism over the internet for websites to share their resource. It's not a bug, but as the internet has grown and as the uh, copyright uh, demands have increased, it is possible. It is and as the content on the internet is more and more uh, invested, it is possible to cause financial loss if there is no course policy for a web application. So Govind must have a course policy in order to prevent this type of an attack. So, well, this seems not to be. Uh, so slowly but surely some logs are coming through. Right. So this is okay. So let's analyze the logs again and check if things have changed. Okay, so right now it is possible for certain web browsers to not relay referrer information. But the baseline for our analysis is if any calls that are made to our content that does not contain our referrer header, then we can flag this as an anomaly. This will be considered as an anomaly, and we can build our case that our content is being misused. So in this, for example, let's take example of this log. If we take example of this log, we'll click on this. Now, in this log, we can see we have the information on the content, that is daisy.jfim, but we do not have information for the referrer. We do not have information for the referrer. So now this is an explicit, this is a good indicator. This can be considered as an indicator of compromise that our content is being used beyond the beyond our web application. So now in this way, by this record, we can confirm that we are not that our web service, our CDN is being accessed without the proper authorization of our proper authorization from us. And this will be hence it's a so now this is how we have detected a misuse of our content by analyzing the referrer header in the HTTP traffic. So is this so today we have let's summarize what we have discussed today. We have discussed how to monitor course within HTTP traffic and to monitor misuse of our content. Any doubts in this? I mean, if you have doubts, then only put in the chat. Other than that, do not. So today we have learned how to monitor misuse of content, misuse of our CDN through misconfigured course policy. And in the next class, we would explore how to In the next class, we are going to focus on another client-side attack, which is called CSRF. Okay, I think Sanjay has a question. Sanjay, please unmute yourself and ask. Sanjay, you are on mute if you are speaking. Would you like to unmute yourself and talk? Or please write your question in the chat. Okay, Sherry has a question. Sherry, would you like to unmute yourself and ask?
Sir, it is also done by on Google.
Now, well, Google, any specific thing that you would want to know about Google? Like what is your
Sir,
question exactly about?
like links.
Now, so there are a couple of things I mean, I'm not okay. What I'm able to understand from your question is, uh, does this strategy Google also use to track links or their links? Now, again, Google has a crawler, right? It has a crawler which is called as satellite, which are called satellites. So these satellites explore all the web applications, and uh, they 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 go through the content of each of the web applications, websites, and document it. Because how were we able to get to the image of the daisy? By searching on Google, right? So Google got to know that there is an image of a daisy on a website, and that is how it was able to get us to there, right? So first of all, Google might have also uh, gone to that website, hit that website, gone through its content, gone to and would have uh, uh, analyzed their content, and then it would have stored in its database that, hey, there's a image of Daisy on a certain XYZ website. So definitely when Google might have hit that website, it would have generated a traffic, and while crawling, it would have now the 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 CDN owner would not have mind would not mind if Google uh, crawls their website, because Google will be bringing business for them, like how we search right now a picture of a daisy. Similarly, uh, this uh, uh, action of searching and reaching out to that website has now brought traffic to that website. So the website won't mind if Google crawls, right? And similarly, the website can get to know that if any time Google might have hit, and yes, uh, and the website can also get to know if Google might have hit just based on this strategy to check the referrer header in the in the access logs, that who have like link, not who have, but what in which web applications context was this the picture was loaded. So there seems to be a question from Mr. Sanjay. Sanjay, would you want to unmute yourself and ask? Okay, there's some silence. So okay, so we'll so in the next session we will be exploring another attack, another client-side attack, which is known as CSRF, cross-site request forgery, and how to identify CSRF through analyzing logs of the web application. I'll rest the class here itself, and let's rest the session here itself. And anybody who has doubts can stay behind, stay back and ask. Others can drop. Thank you for joining. Folks who have question can stay behind, and others can feel free to disconnect.
Sir,
Yes, please go ahead.
sir, please send the link of attendance.
Govind will be able to do that. Govind should do that. So I'll just drop, and Govind can coordinate with you for attendance and other things. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you, Ayush. Yeah. I'll stop my screen and I'll share the. Wait a second. You guys have any questions related to setups? Please feel free to ask. Yeah, I have shared the attendance link. Please fill it out. Meanwhile, you can ask questions related to setup or you want to need any help there.
Sir, it is not show to me.
Cherry, for you, do one thing. Delete all the
Yes,
files. Okay.
sir.
Remove the temps. Okay.
Sir, repeat again.
remove the all the files like a Kibana as well as the Elasticsearch, delete all and start from beginning. And even you can delete the temporary files which are available in the laptop, like open the CMD file, CMD and type temp. You will be able to get the temporary file folder. Just select all and delete all. It will not harm anything there. Just delete that and start again installing the Elasticsearch and Kibana, and also Logstash also will be required that. Okay, Bharat. Yeah. So whenever you start your Elastic first time, that time you will be getting a enrollment token as well as a password there. Am I clear? Right? So if you're not able to find out that, so let me check one more time, like just 1 second.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, I unable to see attendance link.
See, attackers link. Okay.
Attendance.
Okay. No, already I've shared the attendance link, right? This is a doc file, right? I'll share again one more time.
Yes, sir.
You got right? In chart. Just check it in chart. Okay, I have a command for taking password again, like we can. I'll share you that here.
Sir,
Mm-hmm.
sir, I can fill just raise attendance form.
Sorry.
Sir,
Yeah. Just tell me like
I
what
can
you're saying.
fill just raise attendance form.
Yeah, you can feel right. You are facing any issues there?
So yes.
What kind of issues?
Sir, it can say you can't send message because you are not a member of the chat.